You've probably been scrolling through endless gaming laptop lists, wondering whether any of them will actually fit into the cramped desk at home, survive the daily commute, and still give you the frame rates you need for a competitive match. The anxiety comes from hearing stories about laptops that look great on paper but overheat after 10 minutes, or machines that promise desktop-level power but end up weighing as much as a small suitcase. You want something you can set up in a coffee shop, keep in a backpack, and not feel like you threw half a desktop's worth of heat out the window each time you launch a new title. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The MSI Thin 15.6-inch with an RTX 4050 and an Intel i7-13620H tries to walk that line. It's marketed as a fine and light gaming rig, and the first thing I asked myself was whether that thinness compromises anything you actually notice when you're playing, streaming, or just editing a video between matches. The chassis is indeed slimmer than a typical 17-inch gaming laptop, which means it slides into a standard 15-inch backpack without bulging. That's a real win for anyone who still carries a bag to work or school and doesn't want their laptop to be the obvious gaming piece. The trade-off is a slightly tighter thermal envelope, so the question becomes, does the built-in cooler boost system keep temperatures in a tolerable range when you push the RTX 4050 to its limits? In real-world testing, the cooling solution feels respectable for a machine this thin. When I ran a 30-minute session of Apex Legends at medium settings, the GPU clock stayed close to its boost frequency, and the CPU hovered around 85°C. It wasn't ice-cold, but it never throttled enough to drop frame rates noticeably. The fans ramp up, and you'll hear a gentle whine that's louder than a typical Ultrabook but still manageable in a quiet room. The key practical strength here is consistency. You can run long multiplayer sessions without the sudden hiccups that some ultra-thin laptops exhibit. If you're the type who plays in a shared apartment or a dorm, that predictable heat profile means you won't be constantly apologizing for the fan noise. Storage and memory are another area where the thin claim could hide pitfalls, but MSI packed a full 1TB NVMe drive and 32GB of DDR5 RAM. That combination translates to lightning-fast level loads in most modern titles and plenty of headroom for multitasking. I opened Photoshop, launched Discord, and kept a browser with a few tabs while a game was running, and the system never stuttered. The real benefit shows up when you're not just gaming. Video editors will appreciate the quick file transfers, and streamers can keep OBS, a chat window, and a music player alive without resorting to a second PC. The downside is that the 1TB drive is not user-replaceable without opening the chassis, which is a bit more involved than swapping a 2.5-inch SSD in a bulkier laptop. If you plan to upgrade storage down the line, be ready to use a professional service or get comfortable with a screwdriver. Port selection often gets sacrificed on thin gaming machines, but this MSI keeps a decent array. The USB-C port supports DisplayPort Alt mode, so you can hook up a 144Hz external monitor without needing an extra adapter. There are also two USB-A ports for a mouse, keyboard, or external hard drive, and a full-size HDMI for those who still prefer the classic connection. I found myself using the USB-C for a quick data transfer from a phone, then plugging a headset into the audio jack while the HDMI fed the game to a larger screen in the living room. The only noticeable omission is a dedicated Ethernet jack, which means you'll need a USB-C dongle if you ever need a wired internet connection for competitive play. For most gamers, a solid Wi-Fi 6 connection is enough, but the extra dongle is an extra cost and a small inconvenience. Who should actually consider this laptop? If you're a college student who wants to game after classes, a content creator who needs decent GPU horsepower without lugging a desktop, or a professional who wants a capable machine for both work and play, the MSI Thin hits the sweet spot. Its weight just under 2 kg makes it easy to carry, and the battery life, while not a marathon runner, holds up for about 5 hours of mixed use, which is respectable for a gaming-grade GPU. On the other hand, if you're a hardcore esport athlete who demands the absolute highest frame rates on ultra settings, or someone who expects a laptop to double as a desktop replacement for 4K rendering, you'll likely feel the limits. The RTX 4050, while solid for 1080p, won't match the raw power of an RTX 4070 or higher, and the thin chassis means you can't overclock aggressively without hitting thermal ceilings. Another practical weakness to flag is the keyboard. The key travel is shallow, which some gamers find acceptable for short bursts but less comfortable during marathon sessions. The RGB lighting is there, but it's a single zone rather than perky customization, which might disappoint those who